I've always believed that watches and motorsport aren't just linked by timing, they're connected by a deeper sense of rhythm and purpose. You see, in racing it's about split-second choices and razor-sharp execution, whereas in watchmaking it's more about mechanical precision and the beauty of control. But every so often a watch comes along that understands this connection, not in an obvious look-at-me kind of way, but just quietly confident as if it knows exactly what it's doing. That's what Breitling has pulled off with the new Top Time family of watches. Let's have a look at a few of my favourite models. Yes, these watches nod to the 1960s. That was the golden age for motorsport and arguably for watch design too, but these aren't just retro reissues that are frozen in time. Instead, they're modern machines with history behind them, not weighed down by that history. The design choices speak to the past, but the execution belongs entirely to the present. The cushion case models are the standout ones for me, so Breitling introduced the Top Time B31 Racing Green and the black dial version in that compact 38mm case, which is really striking. The cushion shape gives them a unique profile, one that maybe wears smaller and flatter than you might expect, but there's a real substance to the case finishing. Those brushed surfaces catch the light without trying too hard, and the engraved details just add a real feel of texture and presence. You could easily picture one peeking out from under a leather driving glove, or maybe even Nomex as they are these days. Inside, these watches are powered by Breitling's in-house Caliber 01, and this is not just a spec sheet feature, it's a serious movement with column wheel, vertical clutch, COSC certification, 70 hours of power reserve, you name it. It's smooth, reliable, and it's got the kind of engineering you expect in a chronograph that's meant to be used and not just admired. The pushers feel really precise with just the right amount of resistance. That tactile feedback matters when you're timing something real. The green dial is perhaps the one that surprised me most. It's not loud or gimmicky, but just this really rich, deep green that shifts subtly in different lights. More character really than flashy. The subdials are clean and legible with no unnecessary tweaks or forced symmetry, and they just work, which in all honesty is just what you need from a good chronograph. Something else you might like is the huge collection of watch straps we offer at the WatchGecko website. We've got racing leather, rugged nylon, and even retro bracelets. If you're new to us, you can get 10% off your first order via the QR code on screen or the first link in the description. Thank you for your support, and now back to possibly my favourite Breitling watch. Here we have the Martini Racing Edition. Now this could have gone sideways very quickly, and no, that's not just a rallying pun. Because the thing is that motorsport liveries are tricky. Too bold and it feels like just fan gear, and too quiet and it just loses that magic spark. But Breitling's handled this one really well. The Martini watch is limited to 500 pieces and wears those classic stripes without going overboard. The red chronograph hands are a really smart touch that pull the design together and add just the right amount of contrast. This feels like a proper watch first, with heritage sort of layered in rather than splashed across the dial. There are also some other round case versions in the Top Time mix, a bit like the Shelby Cobra and Ford Mustang editions, and these are a lot more expensive. But there is also an entry level that comes in at less than £5,000, and this is the B31 in light blue with a white dial. And this marks, of course, the debut of the B31 movement inside this watch in a very wearable 38mm case. Okay, it's not a chronograph, but it's still a great value proposition and a fantastic way into the brand. What I respect most is the design honesty. These watches don't really chase trends or pretend to be vintage. They're not overly polished. They're just everyday chronographs for people who care about what's inside the case just as much as what's on the dial. So if you have any connection to motorsport or just appreciate watches that draw from that world without leaning on it too heavily, the new Top Times are really worth a look. They're not overtly modern, but they don't try to be. They're just well built, well considered, and they have that rare quality of feeling absolutely right on the wrist. There's no doubting my absolute favourite from the range, and that's the Martini edition of the Top Time. It's more than just a stylish nod to an iconic livery. It taps into one of the most recognisable partnerships in the whole of motorsport history. Martini's sponsorship history runs deep, and it's not just in Formula One where those stripes became legendary. For many, particularly people like me, Martini is inseparable from rallying's most dramatic era, the Group B years of the 1980s, and that was when Lancia 037s and Delta Integrales were tearing through snowbanks and gravel rally stages, all draped in those unmistakable blue and red stripes. It was really, really raw and visceral motorsport, and Martini was right there in the thick of it. That heritage adds another layer to this watch. You're not just wearing a colour scheme, you're wearing decades of motorsport culture, the highs, the heartbreaks, the podiums, the crashes. Because Martini didn't just sponsor teams, they really helped to define a whole era. And Breitling has shown real restraint in how they've brought that legacy into the Top Time. The stripes are there, but they're not overbearing. They're balanced by those clean subdials, thoughtful detailing, and a build quality that does proper justice to the name on the dial. For anyone like me who grew up watching rally cars sideways on mountain roads, or who still gets a thrill from old footage of Walter Roll attacking a stage flat out, this watch will really, really hit a special chord. It's not a gimmick, it's a great tribute that understands what made Martini racing so special. If the Top Time Racing Green is the understated choice, the Martini edition is the one with the real fire under the bonnet. It's the same movement and the same integrity, but with a really special dial that speaks to those who remember the roar of turbocharged engines echoing through a forest and the blur of Martini stripes rushing past at full speed. It's something I'll always remember from watching rallies as a kid. However, you'd be wrong to think that the Top Time was just about motorsport, because timing is central to most sports, even synchronized swimming. One of the other areas of heritage that Breitling is really leaning into, which is a bit of a new direction for them, is cycling, in particular Italian vintage cycling, because, let's face it, they were the most stylish. So, as a result, another version of the Top Time is called the Gino Bartali, in colours that reflect this famous Italian cyclist's jersey. Along with the even more famous Fausto Coppi, Bartali was a brand ambassador for Breitling in his time, so this forms a great tribute. And really, that's the point. These watches are about more than just timekeeping. They're about celebrating moments, and this one captures plenty of them. So which is your favourite Top Time model? Let us know in the comments, and also, why not subscribe to the WatchGecko channel? This way, you won't miss out on all our latest videos exploring watches and watch straps, just like this video right here. Thanks for watching. I'm Anthony, and I'll see you in the next video.